In this video, I'll discuss 8 perspective pearls, and it's all in my book, Ellen's Guide to Perspective on Amazon, with a link in the notes below. And if you like my videos, please remember to subscribe. Using the figure 8 for boats and hats is a good way to help you foreshorten. And what can we say about it? Well, it's usually near eye level, and you want to connect the whole part of the figure 8 so the form is connected together. You generally want one side to be larger and more circular than the other side, and you want the figure 8 not to be crossing in the middle, but to one end or the other. There are many ways to draw a 3D spiral, but I want to show you this one from Craig Atterbury's book, which I highly recommend. He set up a series of planes like this and put 8 dots in each one of these ellipses. Then he goes from dot 1 counterclockwise and up to number 2, counterclockwise and up to number 3, counterclockwise and up to number 4, and so on. And then you can get this line if you connect these numbers that go like this. And then you can fill it out by making these ends the widest part of the S or the spiral, and the turns the narrowest part. In Montaigne's book, also an outstanding book, he set up ellipses, as I show you here, and then the spiral goes through the middle of the ellipse, around this one to the middle of this one, and then around this one to the top. And then you have 2 lines that follow each other. I want to show you how to find a piece of pie in perspective. So start with the plan view where we have the circle and you define where you want the pie shape to be. And then drop down vertical lines from its intersection with the circle down to the measuring line. And these red dots are called traces. And then draw converging lines to the vanishing point, and where it intersects the ellipse at these 2 yellow dots would be points on the pie in perspective. And there are actually 2 such pie shapes we can get, one up here and one below the major axis of this ellipse. And then when you finally draw the pie, it's based on a triangular prism, but you have to round out this side. How do we make this fire pit, which is actually 2 concentric circles, in perspective? So I put this circle in a square and I put this ellipse in a trapezoid. And the little circle is centered where the 2 diagonals cross. So its elliptical counterpart is also centered where the 2 diagonals cross. Now I'm going to go over to this diagram because I scribbled all over that one. The question is, how long should this ellipse be? And to find that out, you draw lines, vertical lines tangent to this little circle. And when it hits the measuring line, then these lines converge with the rest of the trapezoid. And so this ellipse is tangent to these 2 converging lines. Now, what if we had to put round forms into a cube like this in 2-point perspective? How does that work? Well, the minor axis of the ellipse on the left goes to the right vanishing point, and the minor axis of the ellipse on the right goes to the left vanishing point. So here we have a close-up of that where the minor axis is going to that vanishing point, and this minor axis is going that way. And since the major axis has to be perpendicular to the minor axis, it means that these ellipses must tilt. And in this case, the major and minor axes of the ellipses almost coincide with the diagonals of the trapezoid. This is a neat method to reproduce a curve. So I'm going to start with a simple example here and then show you how it can help you. So let's say that we're trying to find this curve here, and we know this line and we know this line. You know, obviously we could just copy this curve because they're identical, but I'm doing this so I can show you the technique. So let's start with this blue dot, which is a known, and it can follow this green line over here and then the pink orange line, to the red shape that we know about, and then it goes toward the right vanishing point. And meanwhile, from the same blue line, we get a line to the left vanishing point, and where they meet is a point on the curve. So for example, this blue line goes this way, but we can find that point by going around like that to find this point right here. So in the second method or example, we have one curve here and one over here, and they're totally different. They're oriented in a different manner. The final curve that we want to get here is going to a different vanishing point, to the red vanishing point, whereas this blue shape is going to the green vanishing point. So the two curves are very, very different, but you follow the same rules. So here we start with number 1, we go to number 2, number 3, and then to 1 up here, which is what we're trying to find, and you know where it is because you can go that way. And you can see, for example, that even though I have 7 points, I only have 5 green lines because some of them, like this one, goes through both number 4 and number 6. And so you continue that line over here, and then when it comes to this part of the curve, you can see it separates out again into 4 and 6 because we identify those points by going this way. I want to show you how to draw a box in 5-point perspective, or the fisheye view. So we start with a circle, and it has 4 vanishing points on its horizontal and vertical axes, and it's got 1 vanishing point in the middle, making it 5 vanishing points. Then draw these yellow lines that go from V1 to V3, and they get closer together as they move away from the center. And similarly, these lines get closer together as they move away from the center. Then to draw your box, these lines go with the yellow lines, and these lines follow the blue lines, and this perspective converges toward the vanishing point in the center. If you enjoyed my video and want to know when more are coming out, please remember to subscribe. And my book, Ellen's Guide to Perspective, has a link in the notes below.